So the project we're doing is the Program 3 Clay Shield project. And if you watch the Clay Basics video, you will have seen that I showed you how to cut your 25-pound bag of clay into 24 slabs. And you'll have 24 slabs roughly 1/4 of an inch thick. And I asked you in that video to just kind of pat them, and you're going to push sort of together. You want to make sure that when this clay dries that there isn't a crack that forms down the middle. So I'm just kind of pushing this together, and that's really all it takes. So you can see that this is the finished project that we're going to make. It's a little bit bigger than my slab. So you can have the kids do this, and the way that they want to do this is just really gently with the side of their fist. Just start, I'm kind of pushing the clay out a little bit. I don't want to get the clay too thin. It's really important. I also don't want to push or pound really hard because it's going to stick to the mat. So I'm going to do that a couple of times, then I'm going to pick it up, flip it over, and do it on the other side. And this is going to keep it from getting too thin, and it's going to keep it from sticking to the mat. Okay, so this is about as big as it wants to go. I might be able to stretch it out a little bit more just by doing this. You see that it's stretched a little bit. So then it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You could cut a template if you really want them to all be perfect, but that's not really what the project is all about. So it's up to you. So you can ask the kids to cut out a circle, and they'll have some extra clay, which is fine. They can put that in a baggie and take it home. And if you have, I'm just going to cut off a little bit extra there. So now they have a nice roundish shape. They could bang it out a little bit more if they want to make it even. So before you get to drawing the clay, hopefully in the preparation stages, you would have had the kids make a sketch of the shield that they wanted to make. And in the project files, we have several sheets that have different Native American symbols on them. So they could use these as a guide while they're sketching to add these into their designs. So basically, they're just going to use a tool. I like the craft picks for these. It's just a flat toothpick. This tool actually has a nice point on it, so that would be good. They could even use pencils as long as you sharpen them or clean them off when you're done. So they might think about drawing their designs right in the middle. So I'm going to draw just like a canoe with a person. And they're pretty simple designs, and maybe some water. Forks are a really great thing to use for water, obviously, because you can get the 4 at a time. And then maybe behind him are some mountains with some snow on it. So you can add as much detail, they can add as much detail as they like, but there's a basic guy in a canoe in a river. Maybe I want to put a bird in the sky. Now what I like to do is a nice border to kind of finish it off. And the tools that we have, these clay tools, are really great. Either side of them has a different shape, and anything can be used to make an impression. This is a particularly good one. It's a nice oval shape. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm just going to go around and use the end of the tool to make a border all the way around it. This will stretch out the clay a little bit, and it will become even more uneven, but it doesn't matter. They don't have to be perfectly round. So the kids can add as much detail as they like at this stage. You want to be sure that when they are adding details onto here that they're doing it lightly, that they're not digging way down through the clay. They don't want to create holes in the clay. So here I have my mountains, my guy in a canoe, in the river. So that was pretty easy. You should be able to finish this in one class period. The other things that you will need to do, and I ask that the parents do this or at least supervise, is you need a few holes. You can see the finished project has a hole for a hanging piece of leather, and then some holes so we can decorate with raffia and beads and feathers. So the way to do this is you pick up the clay and you want to have the holes at least a finger width away from the edge. And you take, I like to use a pencil for this. You take the pencil straight down through and you make a nice big hole on one side. Do the same thing on the other side. And then you want to make one for the hanger. And it's a good idea if they make a border to just do it right inside the border. And then you know you've left enough. So when you turn it over gently, you'll see that it's kind of ugly. So you can just open up those and push them down. I don't really worry about trapping air at this point. So I just open up the clay and make it nice and soft. And then when you have it down like this, you can ask the kids to write their name. Again, I can use a pencil for this, their name or their initials. You want to make sure that you can read these and their room number. The initials are really important for you to know which project belongs to which kid. And the room number is really important for me because I have 9 or 10 classes doing the same project, and I need to make sure that I get them back to the right classroom. If the kids are done at this point, you would take the wet projects over to the clay drying shelves and put them in a single layer there to dry. Make sure you mark the shelf with your classroom name and number tag, and then you would leave them there to dry. Once they're dry, I will take them and put them through the kiln. Once they're out of the kiln, they'll look like this, and they will be in your class cabinets. Once they're bisque fired like this, they'll be ready to glaze. I ask that once you've done the wet clay project, that you do another project in between now and when you're going to glaze. That gives me time for the project to dry and for me to get it through the kiln. So make sure you watch the next video, which is the glaze demonstration video, to see how to glaze your pieces.